From the quirky to the fabulous, a tour this weekend opens the doors to some of Arlington's historic neighborhood landmarks. Here to tell us about the Arlington Mod and More Home Tour and Symposium is Steve Matchett, Executive Director of Old Arlington Incorporated. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Tim Gilmore, professor at FSCJ and author and publisher of the JaxPsychoGeo blog. We hear from you quite a bit. Hi, Tim.
Hey, always good to be here.
Glad that both of you were able to brave the early bands of the storm to come tell us about this. So, Tim, Arlington has been a lot of things to a lot of people over many, many years. But it's sort of become of late, the source of a lot of recognition and appreciation, particularly of its mid-century modern period. So tell us, besides your own writing, why this is kind of coming into focus more these days. Are we just sort of getting around to appreciate this kind of architecture?
Yeah, I think so. It's it kind of has to do with the strange question of what is historic, right? And of course, Europeans, I think, often think it's kind of funny that Americans consider things historic that aren't too old. But when you're talking about things that maybe were built in your own lifetime, and those things are suddenly historic, it's maybe not too flattering to you, but it's exciting to see what we're now calling and have been calling for a little while mid-century modern really come into fashion over the last several years. I think there's also a generational thing that happens where nothing is as unhip as what your parents and grandparents liked. But when you get, a couple of decades past that, those things take on the kind of exoticism in a way,
Especially if your parents really didn't like them.
yeah, and that's
Right.
and that's where and that's where we are with mid-century modern, I think.
And Steve, this is the 8th year of this tour, which started in 2011. I mean, what's the purpose of the tour? What does Old Arlington hope to gain from opening the doors of these houses?
Well, it was really taking a stock of our assets back in, I guess it's about 14 years ago or so. We recognized that mid-century modern architecture was Arlington has the best inventory in the city of Jacksonville, and we wanted.
Why is that?
Well, because the Matthews Bridge opened in 1953, and at that time it was to an Arlington that was just trees, rural, couple hamlets here and there, but it was very rural. So you had a blank canvas, and Jacksonville had a cadre of mid-century modern architects, and basically Arlington was their blank canvas.
Okay, so I interrupted you though.
Sure, no,
So Old Arlington recognized it had this great cache of kind of old mid-century modern buildings, maybe some not so old.
right.
And when did you decide that you were going to try to organize a tour so people could see the insides?
Well, that was back 2011, I believe, was our first year that we did that. We just wanted to start showcasing. We had a couple people that had mid-century modern houses that said, "Yeah, I'll volunteer and open it up." It's a tough ask to ask people to invite people into their homes over the course of a weekend. So you'll have several hundred going through, but it is the opportunity to see the insides. And a lot of the mid-century design does focus on the inside. It's the inside melting with the outside, bringing the outside in. That's a big feature of mid-century modern. So this gives you the opportunity to appreciate the architects.
And that is
input.
kind of just one of the things you get inside these buildings. And some of them are just have these soaring ceilings or these incredible views of nature that are kind of incorporated into the way that they're built. They're not, here's your kitchen and here's your master bathroom or whatever. It really is very much just an adventure, a visual adventure when you go inside these buildings.
Yeah, I think so. I know we're going to be talking about Ted Pappas a little bit. His designs really bring in a lot of kind of old world influences, but make them contemporary and modern. And certainly architects like Robert Broward, and I know the his butterfly house is going to be on the tour. These are houses that really brilliantly bring the outside in, but also don't make you feel endangered by it in any way. And it's really kind of a masterful use of sometimes courtyard spaces and
Courtyard.
breeze blocks and yet feel absolutely as homey, if you want to use that word, as any house you might ever have been in.
Yeah. So we've got just like a short minute or so left. Tell us what the lineup is here. How
Okay.
do people get involved? And tell us a little bit more about the symposium
Okay.
aspect.
The tour itself starts with a symposium Saturday morning, and the weather forecast is spectacular for the whole weekend. So we're looking forward to that. It starts early at 9 o'clock, and in that first hour symposium, we're going to be honoring Ted Pappas, Jacksonville's greatest living architect right now, and looking forward to that symposium feature. You then have houses open for the next from 10 to 4 on Saturday and from noon to 4 on Sunday. You would start, you can pick up tickets. If you haven't already gotten your tickets, you can pick up tickets at Norman Studios, which you can begin the tour at. That will be open. They have their museum exhibits up now, which if you have not been to Norman in the past year or so, it's a great opportunity to see what they've done there. And that continues on Sunday from 12 to 4.
And so you can get tickets day of, but you can get advanced tickets too also at
Correct.
Norman?
Well, and you advance tickets are best online. Just go to oldarlington.org.
$25.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. I know it's going to be a beautiful weekend, and I'm sure it's going to be an extraordinary home show. So thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you.